A Kangaroo Fern production.
Coming up next on Miko Santos' Inside Job.
Because I do believe that when we create or when we allow ourselves to create something better and we allow ourselves to to be brave about our creativity and start creating not just for our own benefits but for the benefit of everybody else. And that's the reason why we are a social impact marketing agency. It's not just about the income, it's also about the impact.
Please welcome to the show, Kia Abrera. Welcome to Inside Job. How are you today?
Hey, thanks for having me, Nico. I'm really it's been a pretty busy last few months, but can't complain. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much. One thing I'm catchy on your website when I'm looking at your website, most specifically, be brave and create, and you can do a great things.
Yeah, well, our advocacy as an entire company when we started 6 years ago is that our purpose and advocacy has actually expanded over time. And we narrowed down our advocacy into be brave, create, because we've always believed that, creativity is not, it's not like a magic spell, or it's not something that people drink up, or it's not something that's only afforded to a few blessed people. It's Creativity is something natural. It's something that's already innate in each and every single one of us. It's just that we're not brave to use it. We're not brave enough to use it. So sometimes in school you're made to conform to all of these rules. Your creativity is made to take the back seat. And a lot of us, at least from our experience, there's a lot of people whose creativity actually did take the back seat because not just of, some of them it's because of school, some of them it's because of parents who force them into another career path that seems more practical than a career path that they wanted. Or it's basically just society telling them to do something more practical rather than do something with their creativity. So it's not that we're hating on schools or parents. We're not actually doing that. What we're doing is we're trying to uplift the advocacy of encouraging people to actually let their creativity take root. And I think, there's a lot of disruption already happening in the education industry that's already doing this. And we want to be part of that. And we want to be in that position where we're encouraging people to be brave and create. And, we particularly like to concentrate on the smaller businesses because, at least in the climate here in the Philippines, 99% of small businesses fail within the first 3 years. It's because they weren't trained or they weren't encouraged to use their creativity. Ergo, there are some, problems that they need to navigate around. And because they're not able to use their creativity to its fullest, they fail within the first 3 years. So when we say that small businesses can do great things, we really, really, truly believe that small businesses can do great things. So you don't have to think small, but you can actually achieve bigger things by being brave and just creating.
Thank you. I remember when I was working in advertising agency back long time ago in back in the Philippines.
Yeah.
It's on Hill Puyat Avenue. I hope it's still there. They're still there. So uh, on in advertising, if someone competitor done a great ad campaign, next day we you have to do another ad campaign to overcome that. In even within 24 hours, you have to think as a copywriter. You need to think a good copy, a good ads to overcome the other competitor. I know you've been
Yeah.
on advertising as well. Your experience in advertising, because of that experience, and also inside advertising, there's a lot of protocol that
Yeah.
sometimes our creative is sometimes it's cut limit because of the branding what the client wants to. Is that because of that you created your own company?
Well, it wasn't necessarily because of that we created Braveworks, but I believe that there is a certain unfair advantage when you have to work within certain limitations, and I think limitations actually bring your creativity out. There is a certain kind of restraint that happens when you have all of these, for example, limited resources. You have all of these mandatories, especially from clients, and I think it's not a reason for you to stop your creativity, but the main reason why we got out in the first place from the advertising agency that we were in, it was because the burnout of it was really, it's just one project after another, and then taking a rest is always like it felt questionable for you to take a rest. So we said that we were working 9 to 4, 9 to 4 a.m. So that and what we didn't like about that is it's thought of as a norm in the advertising industry, and I think that we can't just normalize this kind of hustle culture where you have to hustle 24/7 in order for you to succeed at something, or in order for you to create something great. So that's the reason why we, in the first place, we got out, and then we created our own thing. We just wanted to disrupt this kind of thinking that you have to be doing something, creating something 24/7 in order for you to succeed. And we didn't want to become another creative or another advertising agency or boutique agency or whatever it is. We didn't want to be creative professionals who's always burnt out, and then you're always discouraged, and then you're not getting paid really. You're not getting paid well. The creative climate is really the intangibility of the creative climate. It's so easy for people to undervalue it. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons, but it's really more internal. We didn't want to feed into this culture where we're always burnt out. So you know what? Let's create our own thing and try to design our lives and design our businesses around, letting our creativity take the front seat, and not getting and try not to get as burnt out. So that was the initial reason, and then it just grew as we grew. All of the purpose and the advocacies, they just came over time.
Yeah, I remember that during the advertising days that you have to check the
Yeah.
storyboard is correct. Is the client okay with the storyboard, or
Yeah.
it's not good? So can you create another storyboard, and then on the shooting you have to make up whatever the client need. So the account manager go to the creative. Hey, the client doesn't want this storyboard. Can you repeat that again within 24 hours? Yeah, it's a little bit burnout on the
Yeah.
side of creative department, or the agency is working with that. So the next question I have for you: why do you think video marketing is very important to a small business so that they can do a great things? Because some small
Well,
business
yeah.
doesn't know that they need that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm very biased towards video marketing just because, I'm in the video marketing space. But I think it's also the importance of long form content. Like, you have podcasts. But the reason why I side a lot with videos is that it becomes like a first touch point in building and nurturing a relationship with your audience, and then converting them into buyers. So there was a rise in the the effectivity of personal videos way back in 2019, and it's still rising today, with the advent of TikTok, with the advent of Instagram Reels, where people can do these shorter form videos where they can create a relationship with their ideal audiences just by being themselves and being authentic. So, there are some things that does not come across just with a written word, but if you actually show up on video where people can see who you are, people can see your face, they can see that you're talking directly to them, and then they can see you move. So it's a very multi-sensory avenue that as a first touch point can actually attract your ideal audience. So it's not just attracting them, it's also retaining them. And then it's also, creating this nurturing relationship with your audience where they can see you, they can hear you, they know what you mean, they can resonate with you on a very emotional level. So I think it's the multi-sensory nature of videos that makes it such a powerful tool, especially in a climate or in an arena, at least the digital arena, in that kind of arena where there's so much noise and people are craving for authenticity. So not a lot of people are not, there's a lot of fakery going on in social media. You don't know what's true anymore. So I think the authenticity value of a person, especially of a personal brand, of a small business, video kind of humanizes that. If you appear in front of a camera and then you're talking to people, you're kind of humanizing your brand. Therefore, you're humanizing the relationship between you and your audience. So it's not anymore, I have this thing, buy this thing. It's not this. It's, I have something that can help you. And if you're not ready to buy this yet, then just stick with me. I'm going to try to help you, even if you're not buying from me yet. So there's a certain relationship that's being developed with video as an avenue, and then you're bringing back the choice of purchase to the consumer rather than you just pushing yourself to certain audiences that actually don't actually have the need for your product or service. So I think that's the thing with videos.
So how important for a small business or a creative entrepreneur the personal branding
Mhm.
versus your business branding? It should be interconnected, or you have to have your own separate branding to make it
I think it
successful.
should be I think it should be interconnected, personal brands and business brands. Just because I think the bigger business brands, they have found a way to humanize their brands by bringing people in, so you have, the CEO of Apple is doing this. And so it's not anymore just, I mean, for example, if you think of Apple, you're thinking of Steve Jobs, right? So it's still interconnected with an actual human being. You think of Nike, and then you think of their brand ambassadors. You think of all of these different brands, right? So um, I think uh, it's really important for a business brand to have a person representing it. Just because when you are trying to create a relationship with an audience, you have to be facing, you have to be conversing with human beings as a human being, sorry. So this is something that I'm a huge fan of. It's called design thinking, and design thinking always starts with empathy. And empathy, it's approaching people as, again, as a human person and understanding them from a very emotional level. So it's not just, buy this glass, buy this tumbler because you need this tumbler, you need this tumbler in your life. But what is this tumbler actually representing, or what is this tumbler actually solving for you? Something that's keeping you up at night, for example. For example, for me, the reason why I like this tumbler is because it helps me become efficient in my work. And it seems like such a deep reason for me to be attached to a tumbler brand. But It's because this Tumblr brand, I have used it again and again. And every time that I forget to drink water because of how busy I am, it's just there and it's keeping my water cold. And that's a big thing for me, So it's the reason why we always want to put a personal touch to either a business brand or just really bring out the personal brand. It's because there's a human effect to it. There's a very human understanding about people's problems. There's a human understanding of people's challenges, and when you connect on a very human level to your audience, it empowers them even better to hop on the journey with you, to hop on that nurturing journey with you before they even buy your products. And when you're connecting with them from that level, it doesn't just create a customer, it creates a loyal fan. So that's the importance of a personal brand. A personal brand always nurtures the relationship between you and your audience, and then you and your customer, and then you and your loyal fans. And these loyal fans, they're actually going to be like the word of mouth on steroids. They're the ones doing the marketing. So that's my take on personal and business brand. I mean, business brand is still very important, because it gives your business something to anchor on. It gives your business this position where you're able to stand for something, you're able to stand against something, you have something that you believe in, you have your why. If it's, we're talking about Simon Sinek, you have your why as a business as well, because a business is still an organization that's filled with people. But then if you have someone representing that as a person that's actually communicating with the audience from a very human level, and I think that really gives an edge in terms of the relationship.
Second question in relation with the personal brand and a business brand
Yeah.
as well. Do you think
Mhm.
it's gonna be an issue for someone like you have your own personal brand and interconnected with your business brand? However, you have like a controversial opinion of something. Is that gonna be affect your business and your brand itself? Like
Yes,
you
I do. Yeah, I do believe so. Because as a personal brand who's also carrying a business brand, I mean, you've seen this so many times when, for example, a CEO was spotted being racist to, something like that. We've seen those things on the news, right? People who are shouting at their employees or shouting at people in Target, in SM or wherever, and then they associate you with a certain brand, then there's going to be a certain distortion that's going to happen. So there are some circumstances where it's not necessarily the CEO, but someone in a high position that works for a certain brand, and then this brand is just going to release a statement that this person is no longer affiliated with us, or if they didn't fire that person for that publicity damage, then it's really just to let you know that we don't stand for what this person has done, and disciplinary action is being done on our end and stuff like that. So it's always really important that your personal brand is connected to your business brand, and you're able to carry that out. It's not just you can have all of these advocacies that you're talking about, but if you're not actually living it, then there's going to be that sort of distortion, and that's where the authenticity of the brand is compromised, and it becomes questionable for audiences. So yeah, it's really, if you damage your personal brand, you're also damaging your business brand, is what I'm getting to.
so how powerful is authenticity for you?
It's very powerful. Yeah, because I think this is a very overused, one of the most overused quotes of all time is, the easiest thing in the world is being yourself. you know and you don't have, because when you're authentic, you don't have to think about what you're going to put out there. You don't have to think about um, how you're going to entice your audiences. You don't have to change so much about who you are, because especially in a climate that's full of people staging stuff and scripting stuff just to get the views. authenticity is oftentimes really refreshing. And one of the things that I actually teach my students is the power of polarity. The power of polarity is, when everybody else is saying this and then you suddenly say this, like the opposite of that, just because this is what you believe in, that actually attracts people and repels your non-ideal person. So there's a huge power in authenticity because it gives value and it gives knowledge and it gives wisdom to your ideal audiences in the way that only you actually know how. And I think the biggest power of authenticity to me is that when people are asked to niche down, just speak to a certain audience, and you got to have something unique to give them. The biggest power of authenticity is that the only thing that makes you stand out, the only thing that makes you different from others, even in the same space, is your unique thought process. I call that the UTP. And that's where the power of authenticity really lies. It's the only thing that's going to make you stand out in the sea of everything else.
So of course you are a video strategist as well and consultant.
Mhm. Yeah.
Why is storytelling is very important in relation with authenticity as well?
Yeah. Well, again, we're going back to the humanizing factor of businesses, of brands, of at least the humanizing factor of advertising. Authenticity and storytelling, they're closely interrelated because human beings are wired to stories. They're wired to tell stories. They're wired to listen to stories. If you can um, put out a really bad quality video and tell a great story, and that's going to get more traction than a person who has all of the bells and whistles, but they're not telling a good story. So that's the power of storytelling. And I think that's one of the reasons why, Instagram Reels and TikTok and all of these different video platforms, they're suddenly gaining all of this traction because people are telling stories in a very authentic way. There's one person I think on TikTok that I followed, and she did a story time. That was her first video. And she just told a story of how she resigned from her job into building her 5-figure dollar, what do you call this, social media agency that's now earning like 5 digits a month for in dollars. So a lot of people resonated with that, and overnight she had like 90,000 followers overnight, and that gained like I think it's already more than 1 million views. And the reason for that is people resonated with it. People are emotional human beings, so storytelling is very emotional usually. So instead of telling people, oh, this is a fact, these are the statistics, this is a chart. Instead of telling people that, when you tell a story, people are more likely to listen. And it's also really important for you to structure your story really, really well, because people can tell a story, but then if they're all over the place, they're going to lose the audience. So again, the power of storytelling and the power of authenticity in storytelling, that's kind of the perfect combination when it comes to personalized videos and in the realm of today's advertising climate.
In line with the storytelling as well, yeah,
Yeah.
we know that a lot of people are doing fake story, and
Yeah.
also especially in advertising, so they overcompensate the
Yeah.
the data. So what is your opinion about that? They sometimes some people they fake the story to make it viral. What is your
Yeah.
opinion on this one as a
Well,
being content creator?
well, as a content creator, people, especially audiences nowadays, are really smart. They can tell the authentic from the not authentic. While there are still people who are going to believe it, but the smarter audiences, or at least the ideal audiences that you want, especially if you're creating all of these videos for conversion, because at the end of the day, if you're doing something fake, down the line, people are going to find it out. Even if they don't find out while they watch that video, when they hop on that journey with you, when they decide to, follow you or to subscribe to your channel, Down the line, you're going to lose them, maybe in a few months, maybe in a few years, but you're going to lose them because of, continuously being fake. Because down the line, that, the truth is going to come out. In one way or another, the truth is going to come out. And you've seen this, we see this all the time with different kinds of creators. People who do, they say that it's a prank, but it's actually staged, or they're doing all of these dramatizations that they pass off as true just to get the views. And then you can actually scroll through the comments that people can actually tell that it's fake. So when you're not being authentic, audiences are going to tell. Some of the audiences are going to tell, at least the smarter audiences, or people who are consistently watching different authentic videos. They're gonna tell. They're gonna be able to tell. And if they don't tell right away just on that video, down the line, when you keep on creating all of these different videos and generating all of these different views and stuff like that, when you're placed in a position where, for example, you're on live, you're placed in a position where you can't lie just because you're placed on the spot, then that's going to give you away. I've seen a lot of this happening. People who are influencers, and then they're doing all of these kinds of things on camera, but then you interview them and then their answers are just different. So down the line, you're going to get caught. Down the line, you're going to get caught. People are going to see through you down the line, especially if they're already loyally following you, and then suddenly you're doing something that's out of context, and you're doing something that's just not true to what they've seen you do, or what they've seen you film, or whatever it is that you're doing. They're going to find out down the line, and that's going to compromise. That can actually be a make or break for your content creation career. So yeah, that's the importance of always being authentic.
Your business have been successful, and it's not easy. What was the
Yeah.
biggest challenge you faced before this become balloon and got a lot of client?
Well, that's a good question, because there's a lot of different challenges depending on what stage of business we were in. I think the first and foremost challenge that we've actually faced is that we wanted to help a lot of small businesses, right? And when we did that, we concentrated a lot of helping a lot of small businesses. These small businesses, they didn't necessarily have the budget to pay us that's going to make our business sustainable. And we were caught in a certain crossroads where, do we stick with helping small businesses because that's what we're really, really passionate about? Or do we start serving these bigger clients so that we get more money? And then at that time, we felt like, money was such a dirty word, and, we don't want to be doing this for the money. We're creatives and things like that. And I, just by following a couple of we were led to the best mentors, and I came across, for example, Chris Do and Pia Silva, who's been teaching us that, money is not a dirty word, because money is going to help your business survive. Money is going to help your business thrive. And because of that, and also someone that's very dear to us, Brother Bo Sanchez, he also said that, money is a tool for generosity. When we started to understand what money actually does, in our lives and in our business, that, we kind of repositioned ourselves to think that money is a tool and not an end goal. That's when things started to change. So we did start pitching to bigger clients. Of course, the challenge is there because we were such a small company, and we didn't know how to compete with other bigger agencies in order to get bids for bigger clients. And we finally had a huge client that we closed in 2015, I believe. And that was also a huge challenge because we didn't know what to do. We were a small agency, and now we have this big client. We didn't know how to deliver, if we were actually going to be able to do it. And that's when we started, serving all of these bigger clients, we suddenly found ourselves in that same position when we were in our advertising agency. We were burning out. We were like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? We're going back to that rut, you know. And so there's a lot of conflicts that happen in starting and building and sustaining a business. And when it all comes down to it, I think the biggest thing that we have overcome is our own self doubt and our own self limits. You know, as an entrepreneur, you don't always have the best mindset. And that's something that's true for us. And it's a huge thing. There's going to be so many challenges that's going to come in your way where you start doubting yourself, you start doubting what you can actually do as a small business. And then for us, it's really important to think of it as what's the next doable thing that I can do in order to overcome this next big hurdle. So that's what we did. We took it one small, brave step at a time, and you know that's what we've been doing for the past 6 years. And something also that I've learned from Brother Bo Sanchez is, you know, ready, fire, aim. That's how we've been operating in this business. It's just ready, fire, aim. So yeah, I think to answer your question, you know, as a whole, the biggest challenge and I still think that this is still our biggest challenge until today. It just grows, is just knowing how to get over the mindset blocks that happen when you get overwhelmed, when you get burned out, when you get you know, because these things still happen. And I'm not gonna lie and say this is, you know, this is something that doesn't happen anymore, just because we're already at this stage in our business. It still happens. So I think that's always going to be the biggest hurdle, or that's always going to be the biggest challenge. And then we just choose to approach it from the perspective of the next doable thing.
Yes, I agree with you. So that's especially the imposter syndrome. So if
Yes, that's huge.
once kick into you, okay, what should I
Absolutely.
do?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, that's actually a huge, that's one of my biggest blocks, actually. The imposter syndrome, you know, when I get invited to these things, and when I get, for example, if people tell me that, hey, can you give a talk on this? Can you give a talk on that? Or can you, or when we're talking to bigger clients, or like the first time that we ever pitched to a big client, that was, you know, the imposter syndrome is always strong. It's like, who are you even as a small business to, I mean, you're not going to get this, and then suddenly we get it, like, oh, okay. So I think for a lot of business owners, especially small businesses, and that's also the reason why we encourage small businesses to think big. It's because you know, all of these mindset blocks, all of these, you know, the imposter syndrome and anything that's kind of holding you back, it's because we tend to look at ourselves as a small business, as a small business. But you know, if you start thinking of your small business as something that actually serves a lot of people, something that you know, what what your product or your service could do is actually serving and impacting a lot of people, then you know, you can serve as much as, you know, 100 people or 500 people or maybe 10 people. But if you are changing the lives, or you're making their lives easier, then you're actually doing something big. So I think it's that kind of belief, or it's that kind of mindset that allows us to move forward, even if, you know, at first we don't get the results that we want.
Just like you just pay it forward to
Yeah.
someone. Yeah.
Yeah. You build a business out of, you know, sometimes you just build a business out of an immediate need, and then suddenly things fall into place when you continue forward. So, you know, suddenly your purpose does not change, it only grows, it only expands, you know. So at first we wanted to go into business because we didn't like what was happening, you know, in the advertising industry. And then suddenly it expanded to, we didn't like what was happening to the creative industry. And then suddenly it's about, we didn't like what was happening with creatives in general. So our purpose did not, you know, it wasn't stuck, it wasn't stagnant, it was growing. But at the end of the day, it was about um, allowing people, or giving people the permission to be creative and to be brave. about it.
What advice would you give someone wanting to pursue a career like you, similar similar to you?
Advice that I would give to someone? Well, I am actually going to share the advice that one of my mentors gave me, Christo. What Christo has mentioned to us as well, because this is something that that's actually highly applicable to our own life or to our own business. It's for you to find what you're good at. What is it that, what can you do? And then don't stop at figuring out what you can do, but you also have to figure out why it matters. So why, for example, if you're someone who makes videos, so if you make videos, then why is making videos important? How does it affect your client? How does it affect your ideal people? So, and then when you figure that out, you also figure out how else can you help these people using what you can do. So that's actually what happened to us. So right now, Braveworks has niched down. That's also one really good piece of advice is to niche down, to know the group of people or at least the group of clients that's going to benefit the most out of what you can do. So, for example, for us, we've already niched down to being a social impact marketing agency because the past 5, 6 years, that's what we've been doing. And that's what gives us joy. That's what gives us fulfillment. And we know that it matters. So social impact is really big as well. So, when it comes to niching down, for example, you're a brand strategist, let's say, there are already a lot of brand strategists in the entire world. So, what's going to make you stand out? Are you a brand strategist for coaches, for example, for consultants, for example? Because this makes you a specialist rather than a generalist. Okay, so I think all of the marketing books that I've read as well, and all of the marketing books that has been recommended to me, all say the same thing: niche down. Because there's a principle. I think it's called the Pareto principle, where the 80-20 principle, where only 20% of your clients are responsible for 80% of your revenue. That means you're concentrating on the smallest viable audience, and for that reason, if you are concentrating on that, there's less of the burnout because you're just concentrating on a small group of people, and you can charge more as a specialist. So, if people in the creative space they want to start, then first make an audit of what you can do, and then tell yourself or ask yourself why it's important for your clients, and then figure out your smallest viable audience. Who are the people who are going to benefit the most out of this service that you have? So that's the third. It's really niching down and finding that SVA, the smallest viable audience.
Thank you. Yeah, I totally agree with you, Kia, about that. So you have to know your customer avatar. What motivates you to get up in the morning to go to work?
Wow, that's a big question. Again, it's the advocacy of ours. It's always the advocacy of ours to, wake up to a more creative world. And that seems like such a whoa, you wake up in the morning for that. I'm like, but I just I gave birth to my daughter in 2019, and I see her as being such a creative person, and I know, like, the magic that she can do in the future when she's all grown up and stuff like that. Because I do believe that when we create, or when we allow ourselves to create something better, and we allow ourselves to be brave about our creativity and start creating not just for our own benefits but for the benefit of everybody else. And that's the reason why we are a social impact marketing agency. It's not just about the income, it's also about the impact. So we wake up every day totally aligned with this mission. Sometimes we lose track of it, admittedly, but that's the reason why we don't want burnout. But yeah, so we wake up in the morning with this powerful mission. And every time we go to work, we always remember that this is what we want to do. At the end of it all, when we encourage people, when we encourage our clients to, to attract their ideal audience by becoming different and becoming more open to new creative ways of doing things, I think it's a really powerful thing to wake up to and to want to go to work for. It's not just the fact that we love doing what we do. We do love creating content. We do love making videos. I mean, my husband is an animator. I was in film. So that's something that we actually love to do. And it's a huge thing for us to remember that what we do actually has an effect, not just to our clients, but to the customers of our clients. So when we allow our clients to have that kind of powerful messaging and they're able to bring their messages to the world, there is a certain effect that actually changes people's lives. So we're not just talking about, a business selling to a person and then that's the end goal. It's the business selling to a person so that a person's life can actually be improved. So that's always the message that we want to anchor on. We work a lot with cities. We've been to a city that was destroyed by terrorists. And that's where we also, we came to the realization that what we do matters, that there's actually lives on the line here. So when we bravely create and we encourage other people to be brave and create, they're not just doing that for themselves. They're doing that to improve the lives of people around them. And that for me is one of the most powerful missions that we could ever wake up to.
Thank you so much. Very well said. Thank you. So, how can our listener and audience who's watching this on YouTube and Facebook and Vimeo connect with you online?
Well, my most active accounts are my Instagram and my TikTok, and I'm on there almost all the time. On Instagram, it's at Kia_Abrera, and on TikTok, I'm just at Kia Abrera. So I also have my website. So if they want to, I do have a free ebook that I give to small businesses on how they can leverage videos to grow their brand on video and grow their paying audience. So I have that ebook on my website. So kia-abrera.com, and they can get it on there. It's totally free. So yeah, that's where they can find me.
All right. Thank you so much. So all the show note on the show notes, we'll put all the link so that you can connect with
Absolutely.
Tia. And
Yes.
thank you so much for your time and see you next week for another episode of Inside Job. Thank you.
Thank you.
See ya.
This podcast is brought to you by Guerrilla Podcast Syndicate, powered by Kangaroo Fern Media Lab. Kangaroo Fern is Australia's independent video and podcast management agency with the mission to help individuals and entrepreneurs to start their own podcast and harness the power of podcasting. Book now via www.kangaroofern.com.